The 1970s, I think, were a great time for classic film cameras, in particular the single lens reflex camera. And the one I'm going to talk about today is certainly a classic in my opinion. It is the Pentax MX, and it came after the KS, and it was considered to be the flagship top camera, and it was by many considered to be a professional camera. I remember looking at them as a teenager in about 1980, 81, 82, when I was looking to buy my first single lens reflex. I thought this was a great camera. The guy in the camera shop thought it was better than the one that I was really looking to buy, which was the ME Super. But the ME Super was a brand new camera then, and this was, in some opinion, getting a bit old in design, and the ME Super had aperture priority. This didn't. What this had was a lovely traffic light system in the viewfinder. So if you half press it, you've got you see your shutter speeds on the little dial, and so you select your shutter speed, and then as you change your aperture, you have red, orange and green. When it's on green, it's the correct exposure. So you've got, it's like a traffic light system in the viewfinder. You've got manual shutter speeds here from B and 1 second up to 1,000th of a second. It's a classic Pentax top here, very familiar to those who might have used the Spotmatic, and it has a little bit of a feel of a Spotmatic, but it's smaller, and that was a detail that people really liked at the time, and it was sold as a very small, easy to use camera, and I think it fits into the hand beautifully. Some people with very large hands do find it a little bit cumbersome. You do switch on the meter by the lever there, a little bit like the Nikon I was talking about previously, and it has got a lock here on the shutter as well, which you might need to know about if you forget. The ASA, as it was still called at this point when this camera was manufactured, is here. The batteries are great because it takes 2 AG13, so they're nice and cheap. Just replace them every 6 months. You've got the opportunity for a motor rind, which was a big thing in these days, and I've got a motor rind that I have used on this camera a lot. It's got the mechanical shutter, so if all goes wrong and your batteries do go, you can't use the meter, but you can certainly still use the camera. It had the then new Pentax K mount, so you've got millions of lenses out there you can use. You've got, as I said, information of what aperture you have in the window as well. What more can I say? This camera actually has a film in it, so as it's a camera I do use, so I can't open the back, but it's got a nice clean shutter. I have found it to be a very easy to use, reliable camera. It's odd that the K1000, which was a cheaper camera at the time, is the camera that still gets the students really keen and can go for really high prices. This goes for a little bit lower. In its day, it was considered to be a superior camera. From my memory, these were £162. The ME Super was about £134, and I think the K1000s were something like £110. The K1000s were thought to be a cheap camera, and one of the reasons I didn't buy the K1000 in 1983 was I thought it was a bit cheap and a bit simple, where the ME Super was a little bit more complicated, and I thought was a little bit more classy. Should I bought one of these? Well, as you can see, I bought one many years later. I've enjoyed using it. A word, slight caution, it's a positive aspect is that you can change here the screens, the focusing screens. You've got a little button here, you press it and it will flip out and you can clean the mirror there. What can happen a little bit, these cameras are now about 40 years old and you can get some deteriorations of the rubber here and you can get little specks, and that I find quite annoying, although that can be cleaned. They are not a heavy camera to use. They are incredibly reliable, especially with the mechanical shutter. I think they were slightly better built than the ME Super. They don't seem to have the gearing problems. You get some gearing problems with the ME Super. A high quality camera that I would recommend.